to cast on our satin coin purse. It says with one ball of Bernat Satin you can make 9 coin purses. So that's awesome. We need size 7 knitting needles and 2 buttons. We're going to save until later to get the 2 buttons. But our gauge should be 19 stitches equals 4 inches in stocking stitch. And once again, I'm not going to dwell on gauge because we're just making a little coin purse. It's not going to fit anything. So, I mean, if you want to be exactly sure that this measures a certain amount, because it says it's going to be 4 inches wide and 2.5 inches high, if you want it to be exactly those dimensions, then you'll definitely want to do a gauge swatch and check your gauge. And Crystal from Bernat made another video about that, so you can watch her do that. But I'm just going to start making my little coin purse because I don't care if it's 4 1/4 inches or if it's 3 75.75 inches. I'll be fine. So it says to cast on 19 stitches. So I'm going to get my Bernat Satin yarn here. And I already got this started from the center of the skein. I'm using the color Banana. I like yellow. Yellow is one of my favorite colors. So I'm going to get my, there they are, ta-da! Size 7 knitting needles. And I'm going to cast on 19 stitches. So I do long tail cast on, so I hold out about 20 inches. That'll be enough for casting on 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I guessed a little too much. I have a long tail left over. I'll trim that in a little while. I can live with it right now. First row, RS, which means right side. So I know that row 1 is on the right side. I'm going to knit 1. Now, if you're wanting to remember that this is the right side, you can get a locking stitch marker like this one that closes, and you can put it on the right side, just like that. Ta-da! And that way you'll be able to tell that this is the right side. And that stitch marker is going to stay right there. So our first row is knit 1, purl 1, over and over again. Do a knit stitch, bring the yarn to the front, and do a purl stitch. Take the yarn to the back, do a knit stitch, bring the yarn to the front, and do a purl stitch. Take the yarn to the back, do a knit stitch, yarn to the front, and do a purl stitch. And it feels tedious at first, but you'll get used to it. When you come to that stitch marker, make sure you go above the stitch marker, not below it, so that it'll stay down on the bottom row. So that was a purl. Now I'm ready for a knit. Now I'm ready for a purl. Now I'm ready for a knit. And then ready for a purl. Ready for a knit. Ready for a purl. Knit. Purl. Knit. Purl. The last last stitch is a knit. Let's just come to the last stitch, knit it. Now my stitch marker looks like it's hanging down too far. I'm not going to be able to tell that that's the right side, so I'm going to move it up a row here. Move it up here because I just finished on the right side. Having trouble getting in there. There we go. Now it's a little easier to tell. Now I'm ready to work the other side. Now it says repeat that last row of the seed stitch pattern until your work measures 5 1/4 inches, ending on a right side row. So we want our last row to be done on that side where the marker is. So this row that we're doing right now is exactly the same as the last one. We start with a knit, then we do a purl, and we do a knit, and we do that over and over and over again. A knit stitch and a purl stitch. Always remember to bring your yarn forward for a purl and back for a knit. If you don't, I'll show you what happens if you don't. I'm going to do a purl without bringing it forward. What a mess! That's no good at all. So I'm going to undo that. Always remember to bring the yarn forward to do your purl. And now I'm not going to take it back, and I'm going to do a knit. Once again, this is not right. I've got an extra thing in there. That's a little yarn over is what that is. I don't want that. That'll make a hole. So make sure the yarn is back. Do a knit. It's forward to do a purl. Knit. Purl. Now if you make a mistake like I just made on purpose, but you make it by accident, it might be best to just unravel and start over. But there are ways to fix it. You can tink a stitch. So let me show you how to tink. I'm going to knit and paste. The way I learned to tink was that I watched my stitches very closely and then I just undid them backwards. So here's a knit stitch. I know I'm going that way. I wrap it and I bring it forward. And I take it off the needle. So to tink that, I go in the back of that stitch with my left needle. And I just unwrap it. Whoop. And I tink to that. Tink is knit spelled backwards. Now purl is a little bit more complicated to tink. You have to make sure your yarn is forward. And you stick your needle into that purl, and you see how it just comes undone? There you go. So now I'm going to do my purl. I'm going to do my knit. So tinking is a good thing to learn, because that way if you find that you made a mistake back here, you're not going to have to unravel. You can just tink back to it. There we go. I love the feeling of seed stitch. It makes such a fun, interesting fabric. Very different from garter stitch. And all you did is just switch from doing all knit stitches to doing knit and purl stitch. It makes a really nice fabric. So now, same thing over and over again. Knit a stitch, purl a stitch, take it back, knit a stitch, bring it forward, purl a stitch. And just keep doing that over and over again until your piece of fabric measures 5 1/4 inches. So we're going to be doing this for a while. And right now I'm working the right side row. And the way I can tell is because my marker's right here, right? So it's good to have these. Later on, when we get further along in the project, we're going to need 2 more of those markers. because it says on here, place marker at each end of the last row when we get to 5 1/4 inches. So we need to make sure we have two markers, two locking stitch markers ready for when that happens. But for now, it's not so bad. We can just keep knitting and purling, knitting and purling, knitting and purling. Every row starts with a knit and every row ends with a knit. That's how it goes. So this is the way your fabric should look. Nice little nubs going back and forth and back and forth. Makes little diamond fabrics, diamond designs. So good luck with your little coin purse made with seed stitch. I'll see you in the Bernat forum. I'm going to keep working on my purse and you keep working on yours. Bye!